Okay, we have the rankings here. This is the first college football playoff rankings. Number 10, I'll just give you the top 10. Number 10 is Notre Dame. Bartu thinking that Notre Dame gets in if they run the table here, which they should. They'll be favored in their final 4 games.
Dave, by the way, nailed the top 5, and the rest of them were off by 1.
Number 9 is Oregon. You may have heard of them. They are the Ducks.
Yep.
They play right here on the Fan.
Look.
Number 8, Texas Tech. Number 7, BYU. They play this weekend. Number 6, Ole Miss. Number 5, Georgia. Number 4, Alabama. Number 3 is Texas A&M. Number 2 is Indiana. Number 1 is Ohio State.
There's a handful of teams that really don't, like, they're a lock. You look at their schedule, and once you make if you're a one-loss team or an undefeated team and you make your conference title game, you're in. We saw that last year. SMU, right, was a one-loss team, made the title game.
So who are you talking about?
So Ohio State, Indiana.
They're both in.
They're both in.
But SEC, I don't know if you can say that. I mean, there's 4 SEC teams, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, a lot of them have already played, but, I mean, A&M, surely they're going to stumble, right?
But that's the thing is that, like, A&M, even if they do stumble, like, so A&M has Missouri, South Carolina, Samford, and Texas. As long as they finish the regular season with 1 loss and they would play in the SEC title game.
Well, why would they play in the SEC title game? Because Bama has 1 loss, Georgia has 1 loss, and Mississippi has 1 loss.
Yes, but some of those teams still, like, I guess if you look at you'd have to look at the tiebreakers to see what's in. But if A&M is a 1-loss team, even if they don't get into the SEC title game, they are in. A 1-loss SEC team is 100% in. Any 1-loss team from the Big
you mean
Ten,
even if they don't go to the SEC
even if they don't go to the SEC
so
title
you're saying
game.
Again, this is why it's so early. There's still 4 weeks left.
Yes.
So a lot can change, but you're saying if there is a 1-loss SEC team that does not get into the championship
guaranteed to be in,
they're still in the tournament.
Still in. So Ohio State, Indiana, and Texas A&M.
So how many do you think get in the tournament from the SEC? 4?
A&M, Bama, Georgia, Ole Miss.
Texas? 5?
Maybe. I think you're getting at least 4.
They really only have a shot at 5. Like, Vandy is 16th.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to the tournament.
I wouldn't think so, no.
So they really only have a shot at getting 5 if Texas stays in the mix.
If Texas were to stay in the mix and they run the table, but here's the problem.
They're going to have to beat A&M.
And Georgia. So, and Texas is it. So the SEC, more than likely, you feel very comfortable saying the SEC is going to get 4 teams in. And if, like I said, if you make the SEC title game, you're in. If you are a 1-loss team and you don't make the SEC title game, you're in. So I just think when you look at it, unless absolute calamity happens, Ohio State, Indiana, and A&M are already in. They're in. And then Bama and Georgia, more than likely, already in. And then, when you get down into the Oregons and the BYU, the Texas Tech, Notre Dames, that's more of you still have got some work to do. But I think you can just kind of look at the way this is starting to shape up and you look at the schedules. Ohio State and Indiana, they can't screw that up. No, they don't play anyone, and both of those schools would have to lose twice.
Well, you know who else really can't screw it up at this point is Notre Dame.
Yes.
Because they've already played. Their heavy lifting is done.
Yep.
They should win their last 4. So, you know what it is, and this is why it's going to be kind of tough for Oregon. Oregon's tough games. They still have 3 tough games.
3 tough.
So it's basically, I'm looking at, let's see. If we just go by your logic, that those top 3 are going to be in because they've yet to lose. If you say Bama and Georgia are in, 1, 2, 3, there's 5. It's a race between Mississippi, the winner of Texas Tech and BYU, Oregon, Notre Dame, and Texas.
Yeah.
Those 5 schools to not lose again.
Yeah.
And if one of them does,
it's going to get sticky.
It gets hairy.
Yeah. Because Georgia and Bama are sitting there both at 7-1. And again, let's just play the game of look at what they have left. Alabama has LSU, Oklahoma, Eastern Illinois, and Auburn. Alabama can lose another game, not make the SEC title game, guaranteed to be in as a 2-loss SEC.
Give me their team. This is Alabama?
Alabama.
Who do they play again?
So they get LSU.
Okay.
Then Oklahoma.
Where's that game?
It's at Alabama. Both LSU and Oklahoma
That's
are both
a revenge game. Remember they lost to Oklahoma
lost to them and kept
year.
them out last year.
I bet they beat Oklahoma.
Eastern Illinois and Auburn. And they can lose a game. If they lose a game, They don't
still get in.
They still basically you'd be 10-2 in a non-SEC title game. It doesn't matter. Alabama is in. Georgia, same thing. You look at Georgia, and they have Mississippi State, Texas, Charlotte, and Georgia Tech.
So then they only have 2 league games left.
Yep. So again,
where's the Texas game? That that
it could be.
If they could lose 2 in a row, dude, they don't look that great.
Texas is at home.
And they're at Mississippi State.
They're
this
at Mississippi
weekend.
State.
So they need to win those 2.
Yeah, I just think
they can lose to Georgia Tech though.
I guess my point is, Bama and Georgia both have a gimme mulligan, and it doesn't matter. So I really do think that it is almost a guarantee that your top 5 teams right now are already in.
But what about Ole Miss? Because they only have 1 loss.
Yeah, let's take a look and see what Ole Miss has left. So Ole Miss has, same thing. They're in. Citadel, Florida, and Mississippi State. A 2-loss Mississippi State, especially if they don't play. It actually, believe it or not, I think it benefits you to be a 2-loss team and not play in the SEC title game. You can sit back as Ole Miss or whatever with 2 losses, not playing the SEC title game, and you are going to get in. They are not going to leapfrog. You're not going to see Virginia or a BYU team like that leapfrog one of those. So I just think you're seeing some of these teams that as long as calamity doesn't happen and they fall apart, they have very easy schedules remaining, and they can still lose a game.
6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, it really does kind of feel like 10 of the 12 spots
are kind of
it's just
up.
As long as those teams don't screw up. And
Oregon
is one.
And by screw up, I mean lose twice.
Well, but Oregon doesn't have as much slack.
I do not think so.
And neither does Notre Dame.
No, Notre Dame
they've
has
already
not.
lost twice.
Yep.
And neither does Texas, who has already lost twice. So some of them don't have that.
And I also think Texas Tech is, if you're an ACC or a Big 12 school and you lose 2 games, nothing is guaranteed. And I think
you got to win your league.
You got to win your league. The SEC, I think 2 losses gets you in, and I believe in the Big 10 it does, although I think it's a little dicier than the SEC. But if Oregon were to stub their toe, and I think you're better off stubbing your toe earlier against Iowa than you are losing late. I think a late loss with USC or Washington would be more damaging to Oregon than if you stub your toe against Iowa, you fall down a little bit, but you still have 2 probably top 25 games to win at the end and kind of put a punctuation on your season.
I guess even if Oregon loses,
they should still.
Who jumps them? Like Oklahoma, Utah, and Louisville.
And again, when I look at those schedules,
Miami. Do they jump back into the mix? I don't know. I mean, you can't trust them, can you?
And I also think Oklahoma with Alabama and Missouri and LSU, chances are they lose another one.
I guess USC beats Oregon. They could jump them.
They could jump.
They're at 19.
USC could certainly do that. And Washington, by the way, if Washington wins out, and they should win out going into Oregon, Washington's going to say, hey, we beat Oregon, and we're right there. We are in that conversation, and more than likely they would get in, although that's a long stretch. I don't think they would beat Oregon, but they should be 9-2 going into that game.
Here are the games. If these rankings were to be used, it would be Notre Dame playing at BYU with the winner playing at Indiana.
That's a battle of the Lord.
Or no, not at Indiana, right? That's a neutral site.
That'd be a neutral site. We'd get to find out who's more powerful, Catholic Jesus or Mormon Jesus.
That's pretty good.
That'd be fun.
And then if Notre Dame wins, that would be a rematch from last year. Remember, Notre Dame beat Indiana in the first round.
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe it was the second round.
They
beat him.
Yeah, they beat him up. Yeah, because their 2 losses were to Notre Dame and Ohio State. Yeah.
So then you have Virginia would play Ole Miss. Look at Virginia getting in the tournament. They're predicting them to win the ACC.
Yeah, and that's the only ACC team getting in, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Virginia would play at Ole Miss. Gross.
Yeah.
And then the winner would go play Texas A&M.
Mm-hmm.
That's one side of the bracket.
That'd be fun.
And then the other side of the bracket, as we pointed out yesterday, ESPN had this. Alabama, Georgia, Oregon, and Ohio State are all in the same side of the bracket.
Yeah, that's nasty.
So Oregon right now, as it stands, would actually go on the road and play at Texas Tech. If they win that, they would go play Ohio State.
That would be, look, the Texas Tech game would be a rugged physical affair.
That would be a great game.
That would be fair, that would be fun, and then the reward is you get to try to get some revenge for last year. Because you would do the opposite, right? Ohio State would get to sit around for a month and then have to go face Oregon versus what happened last year.
And then the other game would be Memphis being the group of 5.
Mm-hmm.
They would play at Georgia, and the winner would go play Alabama.
That's weird. I was going to say I forgot kind of who was the highest ranked group of 5.
So you could have. Now, it's definitely no guarantee it's Memphis. It could still be South Florida. It could still be North Texas.
Yeah.
They have a lot to play for still. But you could have an Elite 8 of Georgia, Alabama, Oregon, Ohio State, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Notre Dame, Indiana. Sign me up. Sign me up.
I thought college football was wrecked and everyone hated it.
When they went, this is why it's great they went to that 12-team tournament.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah. And I just don't see. I mean, outside of like coming out of nowhere and winning your conference, and it feels like the ACC and the Big 12 are ones where it's kind of up for grabs, but it just kind of feels like with the SEC and kind of the Big 10, you know what you're getting at this point. You know who is more likely to get in than not.
Yes, but
funky things can happen.
Well, but somebody's gonna lose the SEC title game.
Yeah.
And it's possible that team would then have 3 losses.
See, therein lies the interesting one. You're right. Because if a 2-loss SEC team gets into here's the real scenario, which people would lose their ass. Let's say a 2-loss Georgia team or a 2-loss Alabama team finds their way into the SEC title game, loses a nail biter. Meanwhile, you have 2-loss Ole Miss or a 2-loss Texas that didn't play. I still think you have to put the 3-loss team in. How can you punish a team for getting to their title game and having to play an extra game?
Yeah, I'm with you.
And that made that come down to the eye test of just who we think is the better team. Because we saw them do it with Florida State, right? We looked at Florida State and we're like, man, you're undefeated, but you don't have your quarterback, and we don't think you're a team.
I think Mike Elko's doing a nice job, but something tells me Texas A&M is not going to be in the top 5 when this thing's all said and done. They're just not.
So they got at Missouri, backup quarterback.
They could lose this weekend.
And then South Carolina, which gave Bama a run for their money, and they still have to play at Texas.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. I'm not saying they're not good.
Yeah.
I'm just saying Alabama, Georgia, even Texas, to some extent, much more trustworthy.
Well, I'll tell you what, Arch, that was the first time last week that I thought Arch looked good. And if he can figure it out, and their defense is what it is.
Yeah, he played well.
Yes. Then wouldn't that be something of little old Texas?
And by the way, they've had 2 losses, but
Ohio State.
One of their losses was to the number 1 team in the country, and they held them to 14 points
Yep.
in their house. Texas starting to look better and better. Look, I'm telling you, the cream rises, man.
Yeah.
The cream rises, and I feel like Texas saying it's gonna be interesting. That would be a huge thing for Texas if A&M, Tech, and Texas all got into the tournament. Yeah. Imagine that.
Yeah.
I doubt that's going to happen.
Boy, we'd never hear the end of it from that damn state.
No, we would not.
They would
and then North Texas could get in too.
Oh, yeah. They still have a chance to be the group of 5, right?
They definitely do.
Well, I'm just hoping BYU can find a way to beat Texas Tech, because if they do,
that changes.
That changes everything. And I think BYU then has a clear path to get in. And
well, they can almost even still go as long as I don't know who else they have in the Big 12.
I think Cincinnati's left, but they should
not
still.
Easy.
No, but if they beat Texas Tech, I think BYU is in the playoff regardless. And
because they could go to the Big 12 title game and still lose and get in.
That was what SMU did last year.
And that type of scenario, see, again, we're way too early with this, but that is the type of scenario that knocks an SEC team that doesn't play for the SEC title out.
Which is what happened last year in the ACC. Clemson was the 3-loss team, beat SMU, and the committee put Clemson in as the automatic, and they still put SMU in. And who did they F over? Miami and Alabama.
That's correct. So you have to watch for the teams who don't win the Big 12 or ACC.
If they have a good enough record.
Yeah, they can't really lose anymore, but that's where the wrenches come in.
There is.
I love this stuff.
Yeah, there is a precedent now for a 1-loss team losing their weaker conference title game and still getting in.